We got ourselves a new, unique Get Woke, Go Broke. McDonald's is sued for $10 billion by Byron Allen-owned networks, alleging racial discrimination in ad spending. Now, this is sort of a Get Woke, Go Broke because it's not like McDonald's implemented an ad campaign that was woke and then lost money over it. This is the story of a man who says McDonald's isn't advertising with them and their black-owned businesses. Therefore, McDonald's is racist. I wish I thought of this. As you know, Timcast Media is a minority-owned company, and I don't see McDonald's calling me up saying they want to advertise on my shows. Therefore, the only possible answer is they're racist. Now, it's not all that silly. Apparently, McDonald's has an advertising budget and division, but then when it comes to advertising on certain African-American networks or whatever, it's called a different tier, which uses an entirely different company. But I think that is McDonald's trying to be woke. They're doing what the woke people want. They're treating people of different races in different ways. Now this guy's mad because they're not getting enough. This is truly one of the most hilarious Get Woke, Go Brokes I've ever seen. USA Today reports a new $10 billion lawsuit alleges McDonald's engaged in racial discrimination by refusing to advertise on the networks of Entertainment Studios and Weather Group, which are owned by black media entrepreneur Byron Allen and includes networks such as the Weather Channel. Wait, you mean this is real? This is true? That's actually kind of funny. Like, Weather Channel is not particularly racial. Could you imagine McDonald's being like, so where should we advertise? Well, we can advertise on MTV and the Weather Channel. Whoa, Weather Channel. Who owns Weather Channel? Byron Allen. Is he a black man? McDonald's then goes, no, we're not going to do that. That would be really insane. If that's true, then it seems like McDonald's is going the opposite of woke. Kind of. No, it is still kind of woke in a weird way. I don't know. And McDonald's is racist. The lawsuit filed Thursday in L.A. alleges the fast food chain has a tiered advertising structure that differentiates on the basis of race. No, I thought that's what the woke wanted. According to a press release that accompanied the complaint, the company is seeking $10 billion in damages and wants the case tried in front of a jury. The complaint alleges that while most of McDonald's advertising budget is allocated for the general market, it maintains a separate African-American tier run by a different advertising company with a much smaller budget and less favorable pricing in other terms. How much smaller? McDonald's president and CEO Chris Kempczinski makes approximately $11 million per year, which is more than double what McDonald's spends per year on all of black-owned media combined, Allen's network says. USA Today reached out to McDonald's and Allen's companies for comment. In its complaint, Entertainment Studios says it was never asked to respond for requests for proposals from the white-owned ad agency that allocates the general market budget, shutting them out of the opportunity to win its business. Instead, Entertainment Studios was forced to compete with African-American media companies in the less favorable African-American tier. Now that is where it's kind of a not get woke, go broke, but a little bit. It sounds to me, if that's true, like McDonald's was straight up saying we're not going to advertise on the Weather Channel because the guy who owns it is black. Wow, McDonald's is racist. Let me just say three things. First, for the general public, please don't eat McDonald's. It's awful. It's like just awful. Don't eat there. Secondly, for the leftists, y'all are striking over this. McDonald's workers are on strike, so don't eat there. And for the conservatives, McDonald's wants to get woke. Don't eat there. We have a hat trick, trifecta, where we can all come together and hold hands and sing songs under a rainbow where left and right agree McDonald's is trash and we shouldn't be shopping there. McDonald's is trash. In addition, it alleges McDonald's has refused to advertise on the 12 networks of Entertainment Studios or even the Weather Channel, which Allen bought in 2018, and does not target any ethnic group. Now, that's actually pretty serious. They go on to say, the complaint notes that Allen personally took the issue to McDonald's discriminatory ad practices up with its chief marketing officer to no avail. This is about economic inclusion of African-American owned businesses in the U.S. economy, said Allen in a statement that accompanied the lawsuit. McDonald's takes billions from the African-American consumers and gives almost nothing back. The biggest trade deficit in America is the trade deficit between white corporate America and black America, and McDonald's is guilty of perpetuating this disparity. The economic exclusion must stop immediately. Now, I will say, I think McDonald's having its separate African-American tier is doing what the woke, or what they think the woke would have wanted. Because I'm not hearing stories about their Asian tier, but maybe they have one. And I also think general market includes black people and Asian people and Latinos. But I do think this is going to be really funny because I got no skin in the game on this one. I don't like McDonald's. Sure, fine. Let's see what happens. I'd love to see if it's true that McDonald's was given a portfolio. It's like, here's where we can advertise. And they're like, BET, nah, not interested. Weather Channel. Weather Channel seems, oh, wait, it's a black man who owns Weather Channel? Okay, no, we're not going to do it. That would be amazing to see, because if it is, then McDonald's should absolutely not be allowed to be doing that. I think that's anti-woke, actually. McDonald's should not be discriminating on the basis of race. They shouldn't have an African-American tier at all. So I kind of agree with this guy. But I do want to point out, it's often the woke that are advocating for racial segregation. They say, on the same day the lawsuit was filed, McDonald's announced it was allocating more ad dollars to diverse-owned media and embarking on a multi-year partnership. McDonald's, I'm right here, baby. What are you doing? Timcast Media is needed that sweet, sweet green. No, I wouldn't take money from McDonald's. I'm sure YouTube will run McDonald's ads on my videos. But if I got a phone call from somebody and they were like, yo, McDonald's wants to advertise, I'd be like, nah, sorry, not interested. You know, and I am someone with principles and scruples. I don't think there's any amount of money. To be fair, though, I think you guys, let me put it to you guys. Comment below. Let me know what you think. If McDonald's came to me and they said, we know you rag on us, but we'll give you $1 billion. Okay, we'll give you $10 million to do an ad for McDonald's. Do you think I should do it? This is one of the biggest challenges because I don't like McDonald's. I've already advocated against them in this video. But with $10 million, I could fund some good journalism for 3 or 4 years. So maybe it's worth it, right? That's the big challenge. What do you think? Comment. I would probably lean towards saying no. I just don't want to do that because there's no way you're going to get me to read an ad where I'm like, McDonald's is the best. I think you should eat these burgers. I've been doing ad reads for some other companies, but I always approve the companies if I think they're good. Like I recently did an ad for like helping people quit smoking. I'm like, that's great. Like that's fantastic. And underwear is just underwear. So I'm willing to do those ad reads. McDonald's, I don't know about that one. They go on to say McDonald's total investment in diverse-owned partners, including Black, Hispanic, Asian, Pacific American. Okay, so what about other Asians? You see how they play these games? Women and LGBTQ-owned platforms will more than double. Whoa. They say moving from 4% to 10% national advertising spent between 2021 and 2024. I don't see mixed race in there. I didn't think so. They say spend with black-owned property specifically will increase from 2 to 5% on national advertising spend over this time period. I love how stupid all of this is. Like McDonald's needs to specifically advertise to like mixed race people. They do. Look at this. I don't know if you've ever seen this. This is from, when is this? This is from 2014. The confusing case of McDonald's 365black.com. They actually launched a website called 365black. It's down now, but it was like McDonald's for black people. I'm like, I have this idea. I may be crazy here, but I just deep down believe white people and black people both equally enjoy eating food. Like, I don't know why you need to make a new website that's racially segregated. Apparently McDonald's thinks they need to. And there you go. This is the story of trying to get woke. Here's some old tweets. One guy says, I can't believe 365black.com is a real site. Black people will buy your food regardless, McDonald's. Why? This is wokeness. This is the racism. McDonald's created a separate black website to convince black people to eat food. I don't know if this is abnormal, but I've been to barbecues where there have been Latinos eating cheeseburgers. I know. Am I supposed to assume they need their own advocacy group to convince them it's cheeseburger is right to eat? This is what you get, McDonald's. You play this game. You create an African-American tier of advertising. Why? Just do general advertising. Well, I guess the reality is woke people, they want to be segregated. So when McDonald's is trying to advertise to them, they have to actually say we're targeting this community for this reason. And when you do ads on Facebook, you can sort by race. I don't know if you can still do it anymore. It was a big deal. They allowed this in the past. Maybe they got rid of it. Or maybe, I don't know. Maybe you couldn't sort by race. I'm pretty sure you could. Maybe I'm wrong about that one. But it's normal actually, because while race isn't the end all be all for the community, their communities in this country are segregated very much so by race. And I think it's awful. Growing up in Chicago, that like 47th Street divided the black neighborhood from the mostly white neighborhood. I say mostly white because there was a lot of Latinos and a lot of Polish immigrants. But there was that dividing line. And it's lame. It's stupid. We can all be friends together, but I guess people have been doing this for a long time for a variety of reasons. Many, a lot because of redlining. Redlining is started in Chicago because of the Red Line, the train. And it was where they would act like real estate companies would actually choose areas and they'd be like only for certain races. And it was bad. It created this segregation. And I think it created very serious problems. Hopefully we can get past that stuff. But we got another Get Woke Go Broke for you. Now this one's a little weird, but I just want to point out in all of this, we see big companies trying to embrace wokeness and it ends up costing them a lot of money. In the next Get Woke Go Broke, we have this one from New Zealand. Countdown offers 2 weeks extra paid leave for any employee affirming their gender. Countdown today announced it's offering 2 weeks extra paid leave for any employee affirming their gender. In total, employees can take 4 weeks extra leave to affirm their gender, 2 weeks paid and 2 unpaid on top of normal leave. This is amazing. Executive Director of Rainbow Youth, Puha Subramanian, supports the move. The Counting Ourselves study showed us that 57% of trans and non-binary people surveyed didn't disclose their gender identity at work due to fear of discrimination. We're stoked to see, I love that, stoked, to see companies such as Countdown recognize the barriers our communities face with transitioning at work and take necessary steps to ensure trans and non-binary employees feel supported by their employer. Affirming your gender is not just about transitioning. It doesn't say transition from your gender, it says affirm. Okay, well, this is not so much of a Get Woke Go Broke as it like the McDonald's one. But think about this. This means that anybody's just going to be like, yo, I want to affirm my gender as a dude. Like, I need 2 weeks to go to the mountains with my dog and figure out what it means to be a man. They can't discriminate against you. I mean, it's New Zealand, so I don't know, maybe their laws are different, but I'd imagine their laws being similar to what we see here, they'd probably say, okay. I mean, maybe they wouldn't because wokeness, they're kind of hypocrites. But I'd imagine you'd be like, I'm going to go put on a flannel, tuck it into my blue jeans, get an axe and go chop some lumber down to better understand my masculinity. And what can they say? I'm going to reaffirm my gender. Or theoretically, you could just affirm your gender as, I'm moving 1 degree to the right on the spectrum, so I need 2 weeks paid time off. What are they going to say about it? They say, we hope to see more companies take similar steps to work towards a future where trans and non-binary people can thrive in the workplace. I mean, I agree with that. So long story short, if they want to do this, it's not so much a Get Woke Go Broke. They're spending the money. They're choosing to do it. So, all right, fine. Countdown's General Manager of Corporate Affairs, Safety and Sustainability, Kiri Heniffen, also released a statement on the announcement. We were one of the first employers in, I can't pronounce this, Aotearoa. Someone tried telling me how to pronounce that before, I forget, to launch a gender affirmation policy, previously called the Transgender Transitioning Policy back in 2017, that would support our team who are taking steps to affirm their gender. It's been a critical part of opening up conversation about gender diversity and gender affirmation in our business. And I'm really pleased to now be taking this important step. Gender affirmation can be difficult and complex, often involving medical appointments, surgical procedures, and mental health impacts. By providing 2 weeks of paid leave, we can give our team the ability to look after themselves without having to worry about missing work and the pressures that can come with that. I think that's fine. I just think there's, often a possibility of exploitation by people who are just going to, I shouldn't call it exploitation. If you're offering up a program that provides money and vacation, it needs to be fairly applied to everybody. So like I made the point, if somebody wants to affirm their gender, and that doesn't really mean all that much other than they're going to change their clothes and put on a vest or something, well, there you go. I think we're going to see a lot more of this. In the woke generation, more and more business will likely start adopting policies that will eventually become defensive. So looking at, say, McDonald's, right? It's likely that they created the African-American tier because they were trying to be not racist. But of course, trying to be not racist is racist. And I brought this up the other day. I was talking about Disney, right? Disney gets woke, goes broke. That Disney creates this training program where they start talking about white privilege and telling people, the same old stupid BS. And I'm like, that's racist. If you take a group of employees, bring them into a room and say, we're going to tell y'all about white people. Okay, racism. I'm warning you. And I think more people need to be filing complaints and going after companies that do this. So when it comes to McDonald's, I think this guy, good for you, Byron Allen. Absolutely. I guess I'll stress, if the McDonald's thing is true, that they're like not going to advertise on the Weather Channel because a black dude owns it. Like, that's pretty messed up. But I think more people should be challenging these corporations. More people should be doing what Byron Allen is doing. I think if you have a business and you contract with any one of these major corporate woke, one of these major woke corporations, challenge them. Well, stop giving them money, and I guess start taking it from them. When Netflix fired that guy because he explained the N-word was racist, like, no joke. There was a guy at Netflix, an executive, and he was talking to people about offensive words and like what their policy was, and someone got offended. He just said the word. That guy should have filed a complaint. He should have filed a complaint about racism, about racist harassment. More and more people need to be standing up and pushing back against this. So it's not just McDonald's. It's a bunch of other companies. I will mention, too, I saw something really funny. I've been buying RC Cola because Pepsi did that, kind of like pro-Antifa thing where like Kylie Jenner gives the Pepsi to the guy. And then you had Coke screaming about Georgia. So I was like, I'm going to buy RC Cola. And then I saw a bunch of people posting memes about buying RC Cola instead. And it turns out, I guess RC is owned by a company that also signed on to the Georgia voting thing. So it's like, dude, I'm not serious about the RC because it was funny. But people need to start stepping up, standing up, and going after these corporations. I'll tell you one thing. These corporations need to recognize that if you implement racial segregation because the woke want you to do it, the woke will then come back and sue you for doing it. There's no way around that. If you start creating, if you actually abide by critical race theory and critical theory, they want you to address race specifically. And then already you're being racist. You see the trap they've caught you in? You have to say, shut up. I think one of the big reasons we're seeing all of this stuff is insurance companies. I think the insurance companies are probably asking, these other companies, what do you do? What reasonable steps do you take to prevent racism in the workplace? And they say, we do diversity trainings. And then the ultra woke CRT people come in and say, here's the training we want you to do. Now you have actually created racialized circumstances where people can sue you. When you could have just said, how about this? You ban any talk of race, period. Now, how can you be racist if people can't bring up race? It is a fireable offense if you bring up race or reference someone's race or whatever. I don't know where we ultimately go with all of this stuff. I do know McDonald's is in for a rude awakening, and I certainly hope many other corporations are. The insurance companies are very strict. And a lot of people, you guys got to understand this stuff because I go through this now with where we're going with this business. They ask you about everything, and they want to know what you're doing. So I think these companies, the reason the higher ups, the managers, tend to be woke is because they don't want to get sued. Start suing them. Start filing complaints with the EEOC. Go to them and say, you're a racist. And then they will freak out because they are engaging in racist practices because they think it will protect them, because the only group that fights are the critical race theorists. So long as regular moderate individuals, conservatives, whatever, moderates, liberals, so long as they don't speak up, nothing will change. Remember James Damore? He actually wrote this paper where it was actually fairly favorable towards critical gender theorists, but of course they're going to go after him anyway because he was a white male. And he files a complaint, settles out of court. Everyone, everywhere needs to do that. If your company wants to engage in racial politics, take them to task. Don't let them get away with it. So when McDonald's pulls this off, do it. File the lawsuits. File the complaints. Go after them and don't let them expand these programs. And too many people are sitting back just letting it happen. So what happens? The pendulum swings. Well, pull that pendulum back down to the middle and just hold on. You know that scene in Iron Man where was it Iron Man 2, I think, where Gwyneth Paltrow has a thing on the desk flipping around and he just like grabs it to stop it. That's what we need to do. We don't want to swing the other direction. That's really bad. We definitely don't want that. We want to tell people to just knock it off. Treat people based on the content of their character, not the color of their skin. How does that sound? So long as people sit back and don't do anything about it, it's only going to get worse. So anyway, I don't know. The gender affirmation thing I just thought was funny. I don't know if it fits in exactly with the McDonald's thing, but now they're basically just doubling up their paid time off. So they're going to be spending money on this, but sure, fine, whatever. I mean, I get it. But now I don't see why anybody else can't just be like, okay, I'll do the same thing. So do it. If you're given these things, use them. I think too many people are, like when it comes to unemployment, for instance, I know so many people who are like, oh, I would never file for unemployment. I'm like, bro, you pay for it. If they want to implement these systems, use them. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.